On this episode of Nobody's Home, we are reviewing My Spy from 2020, starring Dave Bautista, Chloe Coleman, Kristen Shaw, and Ken Jeong. Check it out.
Okay, J.A.
Welcome back to another episode of Nobody's Home on the Cheap Seats Network. My name is Chase Brown, and I'm here, as always, with my co-host, Evan Boffman. How are you doing today, pal?
Chase, I'm doing great, my friend. You know, that streak of greatness is continuing from me. Happy 4th of July weekend to you, my friend. It's a fun time. I am excited to be here with you today to talk about My Spy, starring Dave Bautista.
Yeah, man. Always good to sit down with you and do these reviews on Nobody's Home. We've done a few of them already, and they've been going really well. And I think our energy has been really good on them. So let's keep it up with this one when we
Oh,
talk
heck
about
yeah.
My Spy. But before we get into that, Evan, where can they find us out there?
Hey, you guys, you can find us on any place you listen to podcasts on. We're on YouTube. If the quickest way to find us, just type it on that YouTube bar, Cheap Seats Movie Trivia, and that will link us to not only the movie trivia, but here at Nobody's Home on the Cheap Seats. Keep getting those subscriptions up. We need some more here, people. We love the comment. We love the support. We want to give you guys what you love, so we're here.
Absolutely, guys. Keep subscribing, keep tuning in, and keep sharing. That's the
Yes,
key thing
share.
here. Just keep sharing and say, hey, go to my friend's channel, open your YouTube app or what have you, and subscribe. It only takes a few minutes, and it
Right.
helps them really a lot on the channel. Helps a lot on the channel. Helps us so much. So keep doing that and keep plugging in, guys. We're on all of these sites. We're on Apple Podcasts, your Spotify's, and it's gonna be great. The content that we have coming out for you
Yes.
guys too.
And we got
And
something new too, my friend.
yeah, Evan, what else have we been cooking up, man? What else are
Yeah.
we getting into?
We are going to be fiddling a little bit on twitch.tv here soon. So keep on the lookout for that. We're going to be, doing some various video game things. Who knows what we might cook up. Give us some ideas in the comments below what you guys might want to see us play on Twitch. What some things you might want us to do. We'd love to hear it.
Absolutely, man. We're going to get into all of that, and it's going to be a good time whether we do video games, whether we may even air some matches over
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Make sure you're checking it out because it's going to be a good time. Also, a good time. My Spy from the
Yes.
year 2020. I didn't say directed by Peter Segal, who is a director that we're pretty familiar with. I mean, he's directed Your 51st Dates,
Mhm.
Your Longest Yard, things like that. But he comes out this year with 2020, a movie that was originally supposed to come out in theaters in April, but
Yes.
hit Amazon streaming service just this past week. So, Evan, let's get into it. Let's rap about it. My Spy, what's the movie about?
Absolutely, Chase. So a quick description of this film. So 9-year-old Sophie catches JJ, a hardened CIA operative, spying on her family during a routine surveillance operation. In exchange for not blowing her cover, JJ begrudgingly agrees to show the precarious girl how to become a spy. What at first seems like an easy soon turns into a battle of wits, as Sophie proves you don't need much experience to outsmart a seasoned agent. So basically,
Absolutely,
we
man.
got a little bit of a buddy cop feel to these two right here.
Yeah, man, you've got your family action
Yes.
movie that is, have of the buddy cop variety. We've seen movies like this before, like your kindergarten cops, your cop and a half, things like that. And this definitely enters in that category of the fun action family movie. So, Evan, we're big fans of Dave
Yes.
Bautista, the
Yes.
animal, the guy in the ring. We're big fans of him as well, but he has made this big movie career for himself
He
recently. He's
has.
been playing Drax in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There's other movies that he's popped up in over time. So, what do you think about his latest entry here, My Spy?
So My Spy to me was a mixed bag, Chase. And when I say that, I mean that there were a lot of good things or good things I took out of it, but there were also moments where I was kind of like, "Ugh," that it teetered on the line of cheesy at times to me.
Okay.
There were a couple of scenes in which I thought it was very predictable where it was going, and but that is it's a family movie that is to be expected.
True.
But there was, like I said, there was a couple standout performances. I thought Dave Bautista was great. The girl who played Sophie, I thought was fantastic, genuinely.
Yeah.
But overall, I thought the one thing that the cachet that got me was the premise around in which what was Sophie's motivations with JJ in this, Dave Bautista's character in this. Because at first it seems like she wanted to become a spy, but then she wanted to hook him up with her mom as well.
Yeah.
So it's a girl, it's a 9-year-old girl, so who knows? But mixed bag of stuff for me. How about you, bud? How would you like about this?
Yeah, man. I gotta echo most of the things you were saying there, man. You
Yeah.
know, it is that movie for us. We are people that are big movie fans, and we've seen enough of these things to know that this isn't a movie where you sit down and you don't know every beat that's going to happen or what's going to happen by the end of the movie. Those are things, you know, if you're in tune to things like that, you just kind of know it's predictable in that nature. But I think of this movie, like you said, they did a lot of things that were really fresh and a lot of things that I thought were exciting to see for a 2020 movie, and some things that were kind of tropish or weren't as exciting. But I think through and through, there's a lot from this movie that surprised me. I think that there were many things that I wasn't expecting or tonally wise or even within the movie. So overall, I think it was an enjoyable motion picture. And like you were mentioning, Sophie, who is played by Chloe Coleman. I first saw her in Big Little Lies season 1. She played one of the young children, and fine children actors are seemingly hard to come by. And she definitely enters in that category for me.
Yeah, when anytime you have a property relying on child actors, I feel like there is that line in which either you fall on the side of it's a child actor, and a lot of the times their acting might show that, or you catch lightning in a bottle and you have, say, like the cast of Stranger Things, and for example, where it just clicks. And honestly, she fell on more towards that side to me, where I thought she played her part really well. She had some lines, and I was surprised that they would let a 9-year-old girl say in this film. It was pretty funny, not gonna lie. The comedic parts of this film really got me, and I thought the relationship she had with Dave Bautista's character was very good. I thought it was very heartfelt, and I thought that she did a good job of opening him up a bit, if that makes sense. It's Dave Bautista. It's hard to see him as any type of a soft guy,
right?
And in any sense, he plays Drax. He's emotionless and everything. So that was a very, very cool part to see for me in that movie.
Yeah, me too, man. And I really I think my favorite part of this movie, I really loved their dynamic as well. But I thought Kristen Shaw was really, really funny in this movie. Kristen Shaw, like, she knocked it out of the park. Everything she did, everything she said, her comedic timing, everything was on. It was really fun to watch her in these movies, in these moments when the moments she would have against Dave Bautista, the moment she would have against Chloe Coleman. She fit into them all pretty perfectly. And I thought when we were watching the movie, just from the introduction of the movie, we see her make a couple funny jokes. I thought that was going to be it. I thought that was all we saw of Kristen Shaw. But I'm so glad that they made her a part of the movie as they did, because she was absolutely hilarious. And I know her more from smaller TV roles, and I know, and like voicing characters. Like Toy Story, like your Toy Story movies, your Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs movies, but she knocked it out of the park in this, man. And I really am looking forward to seeing her pop up in more movies and things like that.
Yeah, man, she's in one of my favorite series of all time, Gravity Falls. It was
a show
on Disney that, if you haven't checked out Gravity Falls, please go watch that show. It's fantastic. But I love too what they did with her character in the end, where she just admitted to Dave Bautista that it wasn't like a sexual thing for her. It wasn't like that, like typical, like, oh, he's so hot. It was more like he was her hero.
Yeah.
And she just appreciated being called his partner by the end of this film. So I agree that she added a great layer of comedic timing to this film.
Absolutely, 100%, dude. And then we have Ken Jeong too, who we're usually used to seeing Ken Jeong do these kind of more outlandish roles, but it was really cool seeing him being like the tame head of CIA guy. What do you think of Ken Jeong in this movie?
That's what I have a question for you, man. And you tell. Ken Jeong, I think, has to be the most notable actor that is on screen in his films for the least amount of time, because he was not really in this film a lot of the time.
That's a good point. Yeah, like, that's a really good point.
He's on the poster and everything, but he had the first scene, and then he fired him. And then he had the scene in between there where they were chasing down they thought they caught the criminal, but
Yeah.
they didn't. So, but he, he played it well, but he wasn't in the movie a lot.
Yeah, it was interesting to see him have that, kind of smaller role. But I think it's also testament to this movie that just kind of nails it,
Agreed.
and that might be like a Peter Segal thing, because we know that in his movies, like we know that The Longest Yard is riddled with good characters and actors and things like that. We have so many people from the WWE community, the wrestling community, and then we have all these NFL athletes as well, these rappers and things riddled in that movie. And the 51st Stage is similar too. So maybe that's kind of like what he has. Maybe that's something he can do. He can just get these people to come hang out with them, these well-known, notable actors, and hang out on set for a little while. I think it was really cool to see him in that aspect, and I think that let's talk about Peter Segal a little bit, man. What did you think about the directing in this movie? I thought it was really slick for what it was. It's a good looking movie. It's paced pretty well. I think after we get into the stuff towards the end of the movie, I think everything's pretty smooth sailing there.
No, I thought the direction was great. I thought it looked better than I anticipated, to be honest with you, knowing that it was being released on. I know it was going to be released on movies, but in movie theaters. I'm sorry, but it was an Amazon Prime movie, if I'm not mistaken. So, and I know a lot of the times they'll put out content just for the sake of putting out content. I've seen films from Amazon Prime before, but I thought this was very competently directed. I thought you said it looked very slick. I love just the layout and the scenery they established. They had the two other apartment goers. I cannot remember their names. The
Todd was the one.
Oh yes, Todd didn't speak.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. And I just thought they did a good job of like establishing the world that they lived in and everything, and how I just thought that it was above my expectations as far as from a directing standpoint.
Yeah, me too, man. And I believe the writers of this, I think the writer duo brothers, they did movies like Red, The Meg, and things like that. Movies that I didn't necessarily love. So I was wondering how it was going to fit here. But I think the writing in this movie was fine too. Obviously, I'm sure there was plenty of improvisation and things like that. But I think the story held well, and it was one of those things, it's not like you're not beating yourself over the head just waiting to get to the end of the movie. A lot of the jokes hit for me, and a lot of the story beats in general hit for me. So I think it was really enjoyable on both those aspects, writing and directing.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And the only thing that lost my suspension of disbelief for a second was just kind of the premise of the film. You know, and just, but like I said, it's a kid's film. You kind of have to look past what you're seeing and realize that, if this happened in real life, probably wouldn't happen this way. Although I did love the scene on the elevator where he was pinky locked with the girl and she need him just square the balls. Cause it's like, that would probably happen if you saw a stranger with your daughter holding some ice cream. So, but writing, like I said before, I thought it was surprisingly funny. There was a lot of good one-liners in this. My favorite being, after Dave Bautista's dance scene that went viral, Kristen Schultz. Kristen Schultz's character, Bobby, said, "This looks like the wedding from the first Shrek movie." And I thought that was a hysterical line. And that had me literally laughing out loud. And there's not a lot of times where I do that in a movie. So this definitely brought it with the comedic aspect.
Yeah, man. So I mean, let's get into it, man. Let's rate the damn thing. What are you gonna give? Actually, I'll go first this time. I think you went first last time, so I'll go first this time. I'm gonna hit this up. I don't really go with like the point unless it's like a half, like a whole.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 3. I think it's probably closer to like a 3.3. Maybe a 3, maybe like a 3.3, but not on the cusp of the 3.5 yet. So I'm going to give it 3 out of 5 seats on the Cheap Seats network here for Nobody's Home. Evan, what about you? How are you rating My Spy?
Chase, we are in lockstep once again, my friend. And I was literally going to say I want to give it 3.25, but I don't want to establish the scale to be like points in there. So I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 seats as well. It's something that I would definitely recommend, something that I think if you're looking for a movie, you have the family around, it's family friendly. There is a little bit of raunchy humor, like I said, in there.
Yeah, there is. There's certainly
some, but I think enough like a little enough that you can slide it past the kids that might be
Right.
watching and everything.
Right.
So 3 out of 5 seats for me as well. That makes it 3 for 3 for us, bud.
Wow. Yeah, hey man, we're right on. One of these days we're going to disagree heavily.
I hope it's like a
But
1 and a 5. Like I hope it's just like
it's gonna
best
be
movie
completely
ever,
split.
worst movie ever.
But Evan, another question I wanted to ask
Yeah,
you
let's get
about
into it.
My Spy. This is one of the first movies, kind of one of the early air entries that we're seeing. This movie was supposed to come out in theaters in April. Obviously, things happened in March. We saw massive, massive shutdowns, not only in the United States, but around the world. Now, this movie did come out in theaters in some other places that it was scheduled earlier, but we unfortunately didn't get that. It came onto Amazon in late June, and that's I think a great thing that is an option now, that not all of these movies, obviously there's some filmmakers who are saying, I don't want my movie to touch streaming services.
Yeah.
I'm going to wait until the theaters are open, type of thing.
Yeah.
But how do you feel about these movies, more of these movies coming to streaming services? Is that something you're kind of getting accustomed to, or how do you feel about it?
Now, I think you could go with two aspects on this situation. And I do think it's a great thing that we can have more accessible content, and we can have, more creative people be in work because people want to see their content.
Yeah.
So I love that part of it, being able to access streaming services for movies or anything like that. But the part that I fear is that I enjoy the movie going experience way too much to ever want that to go away.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is an important time right now where you're seeing a lot of people go to that streaming side, but you also see some people saying, no, I want to keep my movies in theaters. I'll wait till things open up again. And I'm very interested to see how it plays out, to be honest with you, because I can see both sides of this. But for me personally, I would love to see maybe lower budget, less known people get the opportunities on the streaming services while we still have, the movie going experiences that we all love and enjoy.
Sure. And I think that is a good idea for sure. And I think that might set up a precedent. I mean, the things that we're seeing seem like more likely than not, those are the direction we're kind of going anyway. I mean, we have examples of movies like Martin Scorsese, who's like this big Oscar-winning director, who had a movie recently land on Netflix. He had The Irishman land on Netflix. And then we have other filmmakers like Spike Lee who are doing the same thing too. And I think that it's great for movies like this. And another movie I watched recently on demand was Scoob. And I think it's good because My Spy, I don't know if I would have. I mean, I think I would have seen it in theaters just to support Bautista, but I don't know if I would have seen it so quickly. And the same thing with Scoob. I don't know if I would have seen that in theaters at all. So I think it's nice for movies like that that are coming to these services. But just like you said, the theater experience is so important to me and so vital to me. I mean, that was something that was my favorite pastime. Yeah. And that's something I haven't been able to do since March, obviously. So it's obviously a big hit, but that is something I do want to get back to eventually. So I think there is and there will be a balance in movies that we do see hitting services, and we'll see maybe eventually down the line later on coming out in theaters.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that Scoob did very well for what they anticipated in the streaming market. I know that. So I think people saw that and maybe kind of were like, hey, maybe this can work. Because at first you saw no movies coming out on streaming services.
Sure.
Like the biggest one, like Disney had just launched Disney Plus. And they still wouldn't put Black Widow on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Because like that shows you how much power and how important it is to these big companies to get these movies into theaters. And I wonder, Chase,
and they really don't want to piss off Scarlett Johansson anymore.
Oh,
let's be honest.
They made her wait this long, and then they're gonna put her on a streaming service. She's like, hell no. Like, no, Kevin Feige, you step back now. But I wonder if we'll reach a time where, when we go to the movies, like we just have like a Netflix account on the screen. And it's just like, hey, we're playing Netflix movies in these theaters. Who knows? I
mean, that's a really good question, man, because a law just passed that studios can buy theaters now. There used to be a thing in place where movie studios and things of the nature weren't allowed to own their own theaters. That is no longer exists. So we could see we could see Warner Brothers buying out a movie studio and just showing Warner Brothers movies. We could see a Netflix saying, okay, well, we're gonna, because we just had a theater in our town shut down before this stuff even happened.
Mm-hmm.
So Netflix could say, well, we're gonna take that theater and we're just gonna show our properties on screen that way. These are things that are definitely possible and could definitely happen. But that stuff we're gonna have to obviously wait and see and look down the horizon for. But that I don't know, man. Could be a scary future.
Yeah, man. And like I said, for us, Chase and I have had countless memories, even just us two going to the movies. And I can't even know how many people across the country and across the globe share that same sentiment, going to the movies with your parents or, your friends when you're teenagers. I saw Meet the Spartans.
I was going to say, no, Mayo, this is bullshit.
I saw Meet the Spartans 8 times in theaters because I had like so many different groups wanted to see it, and I wasn't going to not hang out with my friends. So I saw that movie over and over again. It's not a good movie. It's really not, but it had that one line where that's it. Meet the Spartans. 0 out of 5 seats.
Very good. Very good. All right. Well, that does it for this review. But Evan, we know what we're watching next week, man. What are we putting on the screen next week? What can we get the people excited for?
Ladies and gentlemen, be prepared for this one because this is a childhood favorite of mine. We are watching The Game Plan, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Madison Pettis. This one I am too pumped for. I watched it as a kid, Chase. I loved it then. Let's see what we think next week.
Evan loves him some Madison Pettis, so we're going to do everything within our power. I'm going to do everything I can as a friend to get Madison Pettis to see our review of The Game Plan. Maybe even call in. Maybe we can get Madison Pettis to call in. I don't know, man.
That'd be awesome.
We're gonna try to do what we can. I'm going to do what we can for you, man. But that does it here for us on the Cheap Seats Network. Yeah, that's it. Nobody's home. That's what we're doing today. That's where we're at. Both of those things are correct. Guys, you can find us again on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, any of those sites. Leave us 5 stars, a nice review. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. Share it out. Do all those neat things. Evan, isn't that the right thing to do?
It's absolutely the right thing to do. And while you're there, hit that bell to get notified for when we post new things. And please follow the social medias above Chase Brown's head. Get notified some more when we release some content. Because I know you guys want to see it. And let us know what you guys want to see next. Please. We love you.
Absolutely, everybody. Thank you for joining us here today. And if you're looking for somewhere to go, join us here in the Cheap Seats. Because there's plenty of room. Have a good one, everybody.